That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about The Dig, the sophomore film directed by Simon Stone, which will receive a limited theatrical window January 15th, 2021, before it will be available to stream on Netflix January 29th, 2021.
I did watch this film.
This was a film that was on, and Joseph was in the room, but...
my recollection of it is very poor.
Well,
I was busy. So tell us what it's about.
It is about, it's based on a novel by James Preston, and it's basically, John Preston, basically a reimagining of the excavation of Sutton Hoo in 1939 Suffolk.
So the ship that's found is on the property of a woman played by Carey Mulligan.
Mm-hmm. Her name is Edith Pretty, and she has all these large mounds on her property that she believes there's something in there.
Prairie dogs.
And what they find are the remains of this Anglo-Saxon ship that was used as a ritual burial ground.
How does she come across Ralph Fiennes' character, the excavator?
He is somebody that's introduced to her as skilled as a God, what's the word they kept calling him? As an excavator, not an archaeologist. He's not exactly local, but she hears of him and calls him to her house and asks if he will do this work. The local museum, the Ipswich Museum, uses him, but kind of treats him poorly.
She wants to figure out what the mounds are comprised of, or she wants to get rid of the mounds?
She wants to know what's in them.
Okay.
She needs an excavator.
So he begins. Mm-hmm. How does the government find out what he's doing?
Well, because as they're finding more and more evidence that this ship predates the Vikings, it becomes a matter of national interest, and the experts come in from the Ipswich Museum that kind of want to take over, and they try to mansplain things to Edith Pretty, who's having none of it, who is dead set on Ralph Fiennes playing Basil Brown receiving credit and continuing to work on the project.
But things take a turn when a treasure is found on the ship.
There's a few things that start going on that I think Preston was taking liberties with the material, but one of the experts that comes in is Ben Chaplin playing Stuart Piggott, and he leaves his honeymoon with his new wife Peggy Piggott, played by Lily James, and there are some things going on with that couple as well, because he's secretly a homosexual and won't consummate the relationship, it seems. Sorry, what were you asking?
Things take a turn because treasure is found on the ship.
Oh, so Lily James, Peggy, finds what they call a Merovingian tremesis, which is a fancy phrase for a gold coin.
Because the excavation gets taken away from Ralph Fiennes' character, basically. Like, they strong-arm him, like, the government, the museum, whatever, they're going to take over because this is like an...
Yeah, archaeologist Charles Phillips, played by Ken Scott, who you'll recognize from the Hobbit films, kind of comes in and he's very pretentious and takes over, and that's where they look down on Basil Brown as not having the expertise to rightly be called an archaeologist, to take credit for it. So this film is actually a recuperation of that, because Edith Pretty had a heart condition, she was sickly, and left behind a son, and the remains she left everything, it was found on her property, she left it all to the British Museum for at no cost. And at that museum, no one remembered his name, nobody took the time to credit him, and it's only upon recent history that his name has been known and what he did on the excavation.
But getting back to the turning point, so treasure is found on the ship, and now the dynamics change because, like, the treasure was found on her property. Mm-hmm. So the dig is being sort of supervised by the museum, but because there were valuables found, it's hers, and until it's decided who gets to keep it, she kind of has control again.
Well, also keep in mind that it's 1938, 1939, and Britain has just joined the war because of Hitler bombing Poland. And another tangential character played by Johnny Flynn, who is Edith Pretty's cousin, who has an affair with the Lily James character, has joined the RAF. They also have to take in mind that whatever's found needs to be kept safely, which wouldn't be in the museum.
So she gets to decide what she's going to do with it, and ultimately decides to donate all of it to the museum.
The British Museum,
The British Museum, for free, like as a gift.
Yes.
Because her thought was everyone, like all the citizens, deserve access to this treasure for free.
at the best possible place.
With the caveat that like the Ray Fiennes character is supposed to get credit.
Correct.
But then in the end credits, we see that he didn't get credit until many years later.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you like this movie?
I did. In my notes, I wrote down that it was a very tranquil film. I thought it nicely conjured the period, with the illicit romances and the homosexuality going on in the background. I appreciate all that. But it called to mind feelings I had I kept thinking of the first time I saw a National Geographic as a kid, and when I was in like second grade, and it was a layout of all the bones of from Mount Vesuvius that erupted in Pompeii, and all the bones and all the treasures of these people that were, burned alive in the lava, and immediately set me down on a certain path at a certain age. So it definitely taps into that kind of excitement, but it's also a very empathetic and human story. Carey Mulligan, who we just reviewed in Promising Young Woman,
Who people are very upset that I said she looks elderly. But I didn't mean she looks elderly. I meant that she looks older than her character's age. But in this film, how old is her character supposed to be, do you think?
I don't think they say. She did replace Nicole Kidman, who is obviously much older than...
Because she looks like she's in her 40s.
She's not wearing any makeup and she's sickly. So she looks very regal. She plays a very kind, assertive woman. Certainly not a stereotype, especially for the times.
I like her.
I do like her as well, and I think you should go back and watch some of her earlier work, such as her Oscar-nominated turn in Education. It's definitely worth a watch. Or Shame, the Steve McQueen movie where Michael Fassbender's the sex addict, and she does a rendition of New York, New York.
Anyhow, I'll add that to my list.
Just Simon Stone, I remember seeing his first feature, which was The Daughter from 2015, which is...
Simon Stone, that sounds familiar. What else has this person done?
The Daughter.
What else?
He's an actor. I'm not familiar with his acting work, I don't think. His first film is a segment in the portmanteau film, The Turning, which is an adaptation of Tim Winton, which is very 4 or 6 hours long or something. I meant to watch it, I never did, the year that came out. The Daughter is an Ibsen contemporization. This film, The Dig, kind of reminded me a lot of Ammonite, the recent film about Mary Anning, who in 1840s England had unearthed a bunch of fossils that she never received credit for, and was a lesbian purportedly, with Kate Winslet. And so this is a very nice recuperation along those lines. I don't know, I liked everyone in it. It was shot by Mike Eley, who lends The White Crow for Ray Fiennes, Blackbird recently, and My Cousin Rachel, a remake that Roger Michel directed of a Daphne du Maurier novel. I don't know, I didn't have any complaints about it. It's too bad that you weren't able to pay complete attention, but...
What would you give this film?
I'd give it 3 out of 5.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.